Hello guys and welcome to today's video. So in today's video we are going to be talking about money creation. We're also going to touch on a little bit about QE. This video is really important for a lot of people, I think, because I get this common misconception all the time from people that because the money supply has increased, that makes an excuse for how home values have increased by so much. But that is totally a misconception, and really the only way of explaining it is taking you through what's behind me, which is how money is created, to understand why that theory is so flawed. So if you haven't done so already, guys, please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel. Check out some of my buddies, Revert to Mean, Scott Walters, Rebel Capitalist, George Gammon, Emil Kalowalski. Man, that was a mouthful. But anyway, guys, let's do this. Alright guys, welcome back. So here we are, another whiteboard video. It's kind of bright in here, so I hope it's not reflecting too much. So let's introduce some characters to the scene here. Banker Bill, he's that fat banker that you always imagine. We've got Borrower Ben as well, and Saver Sally, and we're going to talk about how money is created, and this will hopefully explain how and who is in control of money, because I guarantee for a lot of people their thinking is totally flawed when they think about who's controlling money. They think it's the central bank and the government, when in fact it's not. So first of all, let's start with Banker Bill, who is essentially going to lend some money to Borrower Ben here. But how is he going to lend that money to Borrower Ben? Borrower Ben wants to buy a home. Of course he does. Everybody wants to buy a home. We're in the middle of this big housing boom. Let's get in there. Let's buy as much real estate as possible. So Borrower Ben wants to buy a home. So the step one of the process is the money is going to go from Saver Sally to Borrower Ben. But then most people's thinking is that when money is lent out by a bank, that money is coming from people who deposit in there. But of course, that thinking is completely flawed when you think about it, because then Saver Sally would go and look at her current account or savings account balance, and she would say, where's all my money gone? So Banker Bill has to create money to put into Saver Sally's account. Now, the thing is, the money that's created, which goes into Saver Sally account, was not there before. So this is what I really want to drive home, is the fact is the money is created when it goes from Banker Bill to Saver Sally. And it all happens in an instant. So this is no slow process. But in the process of doing this, they've created new money. But the thing is, a lot of people don't realize you need somebody to be borrowing that money for that money to be created. If nobody's borrowing, there's no money creation. And that's why debt and money supply are so linked. And the thing is, well, that's why we've seen the money supply absolutely explode, because starting in the Cerveza sickness, it was private debt that absolutely exploded, then household debt took off as well, going straight to the moon, and that is why the money supply has exploded. It's not because there's all this printing of money, for a lack of a better word, has happened. That is not the case at all. And you know, even I use the term printing money and stuff like that, but that's for lack of a better term. Really, this is what's going on under the hood in the banking system. So let's talk about what happens to that money. So when that money is created, the bank allocates a reserve. So you've got the money that's created that goes to here and goes into Saver Sally's account. Wait, where did this money come from? So the money is created and a reserve is allocated. Now this is where it gets really kind of confusing, and please stay with me on this, or at least try and stay with me on this. So they allocate a reserve, and that reserve can fall under many different types, and this is why the banks often always get into trouble, because these reserves that are allocated or created are often nothing. They're created as an alternative to cash, but when they actually look at them, it's not a good alternative to cash. So, for example, they use IOUs from other banks. They might use mortgage-backed securities. They might use government bonds, or they might use cash, but they don't use cash anymore, guys. Since 2008, most of what the banks are using for reserves are bonds, mortgage-backed securities, and IOUs. Now, the thing is, mortgage-backed securities were used, of course, during 2008 because banks regarded them as good as cash, because who is not going to pay their mortgage? And this is where it all gets kind of messed up. Because the thing is, and I've put these two little arrows there, I don't know if you can see them to illustrate this, but mortgage-backed security and government bonds both fluctuate in value. So let's just play a little scenario through your head on this roller coaster right now. So imagine that mortgage-backed securities are going down in value because credit conditions have changed, housing prices are going down, so mortgage-backed securities are being viewed as more risky. So the value of the mortgage-backed securities is going down. That obviously means their asset value on the bank's balance sheet is going down drastically. And that is exactly why these banks get into so much trouble when housing prices go down. You see, so much debt has been created in such a short period of time that people struggle to get it past their head what that means. That puts a huge amount of pressure and stress in the banking system. The banks have no amount of money in deposits to cover all the money outstanding that they have lent out. So they are in immense trouble when it comes to mortgage-backed securities going down in price. If you think about Lehman was holding the bag on tons and tons of these mortgage-backed securities, and when they actually looked into them, they found out that they were worth essentially nothing. And this was the problem. They didn't have access to the liquidity, and other banks came in, actually started shorting their own stocks, using offshore funds, doing all kinds of ridiculous things that banks do to make money. And that is what JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, they all did in 2008. Of course, it can never be proved, but there was different funds that were offshore that were heavily shorting these banks going into the crisis. So the funny thing is, the real sucker of the matter as well is the people who are investing in Canadian bank stocks for their dividend. Ultimately down the road, they're going to be just as badly screwed as the people who took out the debt. So the thing is, that's why banks are always trying to raise cash, because they need to raise cash if those mortgage-backed securities are going down in price, because otherwise their balance sheet is going to look like a complete mess. Now, they obviously trade IOUs back and forth, which also artificially inflate the balance sheet and contract it for different banks. And that's why one bank can just gang up on another bank who's holding the bag on a load of garbage, essentially, and shut the whole thing down. And that's essentially what happened to Lehman Brothers. All the banks in the 2008 crisis were holding the bag on these mortgage-backed securities, but Lehman had most of that bag, and they were the ones that were targeted and used to exploit the situation. So let's just take a second to think about QE now, or money printing, as people refer to it. Even I refer to it as that sometimes, so let's be honest. So QE, right down there, QE is just increasing bank reserves. Like, QE does not mean nothing. It does not mean more money is going into the hands of you or me. So QE is sort of meaningless on its own. However, what QE, the idea behind QE is meant to be, is because the bank reserves go up, that means that they are more likely to lend, because obviously they've got more reserves that they can allocate to create more debt. So the thing is, it's really a flawed thinking that a lot of people have when it comes to the money supply, because the money supply now is all debt. It's all debt related. So it's not like it used to be. So the thing is, people thinking that, oh, the money supply has gone up 20, 30, 40, 50%. That doesn't mean anything, because that just means debt has gone up 20, 30, 40, 50%. And that's not a good thing, nevertheless. Another thing, guys, I want to talk you through real quick, and then we'll wrap this up. And this is a golden nugget, guys, people need to realize, is rates. Who creates money? Well, we just found out the commercial banks are creating all the money. So who sets the rates? Well, and I'm talking about the interest rates. It's also the commercial banking system. And I'm going to take you through this flow chart really quickly. You've got the Bank of Canada base rate, a risk premium, a profit, and then the rate consumers get at the end. So the thing is, the Bank of Canada doesn't control the interest rates. The banks control the interest rates. So that's what's really kind of, you need to wrap your head around. Now they base different lending on bonds and other different things, but nevertheless, the risk premium, that can fluctuate and change at any time, as people found out in 2008 when the banks suddenly demanded that they repay the debt, and they suddenly said, no, we're not going to refinance you. You've got 2 properties already. You've got 3 properties already. And Canadians are going to find this out the hard way, unfortunately, because they've just really been too naive, too delusional for too long now. Unfortunately, there's no saving grace for this anymore. It's just gotten too big. There's been multiple chances for the government to rein this in over the past 10 years. Both Conservatives and Liberals have failed in the process. The NDP also came out with a disastrous plan during the general election. So all 3 of these parties are just a total disaster. None of them would have done anything about this. So don't fool yourself thinking voting in a different party is going to make any difference. I mean, the fundamentals are, this is how it all works, guys. This is the mechanics. This is how it all works. And if you haven't seen my video on how Canada avoided 2008, I suggest you go look at that. Also, go check out the links below, some of my podcasts I've done very recently about 2008 and about what's going on in the Canadian dollar. I think those are very important for anybody with any money denominated in Canadian dollars. So anyway, guys, I thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting the channel and being here. Like, subscribe, comment, do whatever, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Take care. Peace and love. Bye-bye.